And now, a man who thinks like that Pink Floyd song, we don't need no Department of Education, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on the show. In a minute, you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Love that about you. Mayhem's in studio. Margaret Cho is going to swing by. Jacqueline Bisset. Oh, one of the really hottest chicks of my childhood is Jacqueline Bisset.
I get leather off Margaret Cho, I got to be honest.
All right. Well, there's going to be a lot of leather floating around this room.
All right.
All right. Plenty to talk about. Was on the road doing a bunch of shows and started in Boca Raton and then went to Naples, and it's all good. Good crowds, good shows. Everything's good. Couple things that aren't. Got to get into those. I'm also curious, you know, when people mispronounce things and sort of shorten things and they're talking to you and you go, what could your batting average be with this?
IDK.
Like, IDK?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Ben Shapiro has a lot of security, real security around him.
Oh, I see.
He requires a lot of security.
Really?
Lots of death threats.
Who's trying to take out Ben Shapiro?
Ben was probably several years ago the number one most death-threatened Jewish
Really?
American. Yeah, he gets tons of death threats.
Oh, damn, I'm surprised.
So he says a lot of things that anger a lot of people, and he's Jewish, and that's not a good combo. But he has security.
Huh.
And when I was in Florida, I said, well, as long as I'm coming to Ben's neck of the woods, maybe we could sit down and I'll do your show and then maybe you'll do my show, which he was nice enough to do. And you pull up and you see security outside, you know, ex-Navy SEAL guys.
MP5s, big bulging biceps, bald heads, you know, this type of stuff.
Everyone was,
tactical pants.
Everyone was packing and tactical pants and lots of tactical. And we went in, there was more security in, and they're concerned, and that's their job. And I get it. And
I'm imagining you getting patted down.
No, I mean, I think they're practical security guys, which is they know who I am, and they know I'm going to be the guest on the show, so that I'm not a threat. But Rudy, who's traveling with me, who's opening for me, is traveling with me. They don't know who he is.
Oh, man.
So they have more questions for him and whatever. It's all fine. But before we go in to the actual part of the event or the actual part of the facility where Ben is to sit down and do the interview with him, as we're going in that door, one of the security guys who appears to be a little, maybe a little Cuban background or whatever, as Rudy and I are going through the door, he goes, counsel? And I said, what?
Counsel.
And he said, counsel. And I said, counsel? Conceal? I said, oh, do I have a concealed weapon? Yes. I said, no, I don't. He went, oh, okay, go ahead. But what is your batting average on saying counsel to people who to celebrities who come walking in to do an interview, to comedians? Like, what is your batting average? It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good because, first off, you're not saying conceal, but also, I'm from California. We don't conceal weapons. We don't, and I'm a comedian. So this is not, you can't just say, even if you pronounced conceal perfectly, I still wouldn't really know what that meant given my background in the state that I'm from.
He's
you know what I mean?
asking if you're in the closet.
He could say, do you have a concealed weapon? And I would go, no. But if you just go, counsel, when I walk by, then no, we will never know what this is. And,
well, if you did conceal weapons, like, you would know that he's saying that. You know, if you're the type of dude.
Well, first, if he said the word conceal versus sort of counsel, because he was doing a Cuban version of conceal, which sounded like counsel. When Rudy and I both stopped and just looked at each other and went, counsel? Because that's, well, he's pronouncing it that way. So even if but here's what I would argue. let's not leave so many question marks. Just say, do you have a concealed weapon?
Yeah.
In which case I would go, no. And if you said, do you have a concealed weapon? I would still say no, because I'd have some context to concealed.
But that's a lot of words in English.
I guess so. Anyway, no problemo. Went in, did the interview, had a good time, sat on set. Beautiful, fine, nice, but lots of security. I will say that.
I'm just wondering, like, I don't know. It's fascinating because Ben Shapiro says some shocking things to me, but nothing that rise to the level of let's take him out. What the hell? I don't understand.
Well, I think part of it is he makes enough money. And he gets enough death threats that I don't know if he needs it or not, but he makes enough money and he gets enough death threats.
Oh, damn.
Anyway, that was good conversation. And then I went to Naples and was doing a bunch of shows and walked out after the early show back into my dressing room, and there was a legendary comedian Yakov Smirnoff standing there. And I was like, Yakov says, I've seen your show. So good. Enjoying it. Watch the whole show. And it was very nice, very sweetheart of a guy. Always known that. Interesting sort of philosopher, comedian as well. Anyway, hung out. I said, well, before the late show, you want to go out and do 5 minutes? You know what's always funny? The funny thing about human wiring and comedians is this guy, Yakov Smirnoff, has done The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, 31 times, performed for President Reagan and everybody. He's done shit you can't even imagine, big-time comedian. Here, we're at Off the Hook Comedy Club. There's a late night show, about 275 people sitting out there eating nachos. And when I said to him, you want to do 5 minutes? I could tell he got nervous, like fast. and that's the beauty of the human nature, is it not?
Yeah.
The guy's been there, done that, made movies with Robin Williams, made movies with Richard Pryor, and like I said, done the Tonight Show 30 times.
Still gets butterflies.
A little butterfly when I want to do 5 minutes.
That's beautiful. That's nice to hear.
So he went out and did 5 between the opener and the feature, and it was fun for the audience. And then he asked me if I wanted to do his podcast, which was there. I went to go do stand-up shows. I didn't know I was going to do 4 podcasts along the way per se, but I did his podcast, and then he said, I said, well, if I'm going to do your podcast, we're all set up. You should do my podcast, because I want to talk to him anyway. So we did that. We just did it set up on the stage at the club, like Monday morning or something like that before I took off.
What was the security like at Yakov's?
There not only was there no security, but I never thought about this. There was a couple that wandered in to the comedy club at noon on Monday. And their thing was, well, is Tyler Fisher going to do comedy here? And they're like, yeah, in May. All right, we'd like to buy a couple of tickets. These are oldie Florida people literally going down to the comedy club. Hello, you open? Yeah, I mean, we'd like to buy some comedy tickets. Like you used to have to go to the airline to buy. You'd have to go to the airport to buy tickets for a flight. That's what they were. They were coming to the comedy store to buy tickets to a comedy show.
Plot twist: the elderly assassin team there to kill you.
So I thought that was quaint. Not all good news, though. Not all good news.
Oh, yeah? What's the bad news?
Weird, customer service. Everyone's a prick now. Everyone's either bitchy or they don't know anything. And they won't just admit they don't know anything. And they won't go find someone who knows something. So I go to check into the hotel. It's a nice hotel.
Yeah.
And I got my black American Express card.
Oh, yeah.
Which will give you an upgrade.
Slinging it.
Right? So I give the guy the black card, and I go, now, if you have an upgrade available, then this will get me an upgrade if it's available. And then he says he does hotel talk for fully booked. were fully realized or something like that.
Realized.
And then I go, okay, so there's no upgrades? And he goes, well, there is a twin queen suite. And I said, what do I have? And he goes, you have a king suite. And I said, oh, so is then the queen suite, is that an upgrade? And he goes, it's different. Some people like it. I go, okay, but I want to know if I can get an upgrade. So I'm in the king now. Well, there is the queen. There's the twin queen suite. I go, okay, is that better? And he goes, I like the king. And I go, okay, I just want to know, is it an upgrade? I don't know if it's an upgrade, but it's different. I said, but I get an upgrade. So is it an upgrade? Well, look at the king. And if you don't like it, then you can check out the queen suite. And I said, but is the queen suite an upgrade? Is it better? And he goes, some people like it better. And I go, look, how much is it? How much is it? How much is the queen? How much is the king? I'll figure out it's an upgrade. And he goes, the prices vary depending on the season and like when you order. And I was like, okay, just give me a fucking answer. Can you give me an answer? He couldn't. But my whole point is he could have just gone, your king is going to be $618 a night, and we have a queen available too, and that's $731. In which case I'd go, okay, if it's more expensive, then I'll take it. But you can't describe it. You cannot say to me what this is. You won't let me.
He was saying that art is subjective.
There was that, which didn't matter. But it's still, what I don't like is that I'm asking the same question and you won't answer it because you can't answer it because you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I really don't know whether it was better or not as good. And I just said to him, I go, what if we just go look at both of them? And then he goes, well, what if you look at the king and you don't like it? And I'm like, I know, but I don't like it.
Compared to what?
Anyway. So then we got a flight back, and the flight back is on JetBlue, and I go, can I get an upgrade to first class? And they go, we're full up, so no upgrade to first class. And then they shut the door about 10 minutes before the flight. Dr. Drew and his wife are sitting in first class. And I notice there's a whole open seat in first class. And so I say to the flight attendant, who are now all angry because they're there for our safety, I say to the flight attendant, I go, is that an open seat in first class? And can I upgrade? Can I buy that seat? And she goes, I'm sure that person's in the bathroom. And I'm like, the door's been shut. I don't see anybody in the bathroom. Like, that person's not in the bathroom. This is an open seat, and you guys shut the door. So can I buy that seat, or can I get in that seat? And then she goes like, yeah, in the bathroom. And I go and I sit down, sit about 10 minutes, and I'm like, nobody's gone back to that seat. There is nobody in that seat. So I go back up front again, and I go, this is the part I hate about life. Because now I'm going to get yelled at, except for I just want to give you money to get in this seat. It's open. It's in first class. Why not? So I go back up there and I go, it doesn't look like anyone's in that seat. Can I upgrade? And she goes, that seat's broken. Okay. So it's okay. 5 minutes ago, the guy who had the seat was in the bathroom. But now that, by the way, can we just cut to the chase? Just yell buzz off. Just because that's really what we're just saying is buzz off. You know what I mean? Like, hey, can I buy that seat? Just say buzz off. Instead, we got to get into the elaborate lie of the guy's in the bathroom. Except for when you tell me the guy's in the bathroom, now I'm sitting there waiting for the guy to come out of the bathroom. And then when he doesn't come out of the bathroom, I'm coming back again because I'd like to, it's a 5-hour flight. I like to sit there. So now the seat is broken. Now, I would take a broken seat in first class over a functional seat in coach any day. By the way, it looks pretty damn good from here. I think I could make it, But the stupid rules. But the point is we've stripped away everyone's ability to know anything or make any kind of executive decisions back in the day, they would just go, yeah, go ahead and sit down. Nobody's sitting there. If you don't mind, I say it doesn't recline, but if you don't mind, go ahead and have a seat. They would never do it. It's all fucking lawyers. It's all regulation. It's all everything now.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is Rudy, the aforementioned Rudy, my opener, who I was on the road with, sent me, Dawson and I, we've liked to do a little something called statutory rape rock. These are all those songs about getting with young girls,
I know.
all those 70s creepy
Every
songs.
time I hear one, I'm like, oh man, that's
Young
weird.
girl, get out of my mind. And like all this, like they say no and taboo and all this. And I never get why they even sat down and wrote that song. But I also want to say, like, a lot of these songs where they're talking about 15 and 16, is there a physical difference between 19 and 15? Like, you know what I mean? Like at 18, are you just a used up old moccasin or something? Like, I don't know any 18-year-old of age female that I've went, well, her fucking, she started smoking at 17 and a half. Now she's used up. You know what I mean? Like, what? There's no way. You can be sunblasted and wrinkled up and bad everything at 42, but not there's nothing you can do to yourself between 0 and 18 that can make you unhot if, in fact, you're a hot chick.
I think it's the shock factor. Back then, you had to like shock everybody. Ooh, you know what I mean? Getting with the young girl.
Well, and also, in terms of rhyming, you can say 15, 16, 18, 19. You're not rhyming it with anything. There's no reason. It's all just one syllable, 19.
If you wanted to, you could rhyme 20, you know?
Right. So anyway, Rudy brought this attention. I don't know why people like Motley Crue. I don't like any of those bands, especially Motley Crue, but here's what he sent me. And this is why I don't like Motley Crue, because this sounds like a parody of an 80s hair band song. I don't know. I think only dumb people like Motley Crue.
I like Motley Crue.
Oh, sorry, bro. It's too simple for me.
She's only 15. She's the reason that I can't sleep.
All right, hold on. She's only 15. I don't even really know. I get the difference between being with a 23-year-old and a 63-year-old, but once you get down to 15 versus 18, all rules, societal mores, everything aside, I just don't think 15 is better. Do you? What are you guys going to talk about?
A lot of bad guys get murdered for this kind of thing. Yeah.
What do you want the chicks in the 10th grade? All right, let's just be practical. She does not have her learner's permit yet. You have to go pick her ass up. And you got to deal with her dad, like when you go to her house and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, wouldn't you rather have a 19-year-old who had like a dorm room in college and a car? Okay, but anyway, she's only 50. This song wasn't written in 1952. It was written in the mid-'80s. These are modern times.
Yeah.
These are modern times. It's not some person just doesn't raise their hand. And also, why are you obsessing over a 15-year-old?
No, but the thing is, Motley Crue is like the crazy party. They were the archetype of like wild, out of control rock and roll band. Everybody's slam hammered, and some underage girls slip in there every once in a while.
It just feels burdensome to me to be with a 15-year-old. There's nothing she can offer that a 19-year-old couldn't offer more of, is what I'm saying. Just the driver's license alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, yeah. I mean, you want her to be able to like...
Where are you taking the 15-year-old, by the way? Knott's Berry Farm? Like, you can't go bar hopping or clubs or clubbing or whatever.
This is all very uncomfortable to me.
It is?
Yeah.
You don't need... You can say... What's the first lyric again? Dawson, you can say she's only 18. You can say she's only 19. She's only 15.
Yeah, you're missing the whole. These guys are trying to be shocking. Like, the reason you don't like the way it sounds is because it sounds like that on purpose. They're going really big. We're the real 80s band, And they're going really. If they said 17, she's going to be 18. So, but they say 15, it's like, oh, these guys are dirtbags. They're going for it.
Well, then why don't they go, she's only 11?
See, but then.
Why not shock? Why not shock? Why not really shock?
Oh
she's
God.
only 9.
No.
She's only 7.
No.
Well, what's the difference? I would be more shocked if she was only 7
The
than
whole
15.
grass on the field play ball thing.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what it is, bud.
All right. Well, it's a horribly insulting rock song by a band that never lets me down in terms of sockitude, which is Motley Crue. Like, they also be careful, be weary when you see people doing a cartoon version of what a rock and roll band is supposed to be. It probably means they're not really a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
They're doing what they think a rock and roll band would be. Like, real rock and roll bands they live the life, but they don't dress like a cartoon caricature of a rock and roll band, which is what Motley Crue does. All right. Although, Tommy's a good dude. The other thing, and then we'll bring in Margaret Cho, right? She's here. Yep. There's a new scourge, people, that America's been caught off guard with once again, that people don't see. Okay, it's a culinary scourge.
Ooh.
Now, we had to deal with it. I went through it with passion fruit iced tea.
Oh, no.
So the first thing they do is they give it a euphemistic name. They give it a name like passion fruit iced tea. Passion fruit iced tea sucks. It doesn't taste like iced tea. No one who orders iced tea wants a scented candle flavored iced tea. They want goddamn iced tea, and passion fruit iced tea also ruined the Arnold Palmer. So you've ruined iced tea and you've ruined 2 drinks. You can't mix them and get an Arnold Palmer anymore. And they kicked out iced tea and they brought in passion fruit. But I don't know. I'm looking at you, Dawson. I think passion fruit iced tea is starting to go the way of the dodo. You couldn't get anything but passion fruit 10 years ago. Now people have gotten their sanity back.
I think people got their sanity back, but it may be a part of the whole, we want to know what's in it thing that's going around. And if you know what's in regular brewed iced tea, right? It's
I
ice
guess
and tea bags
it's just
and sugar.
here's my thing. I don't think anyone liked it better than iced tea. They just got what they got.
Easier for the restaurant,
yes, right? And so eventually,
but
people
they never
wanted
cleaned the machines,
right?
So maybe they're worried about getting people sick.
Either way, there's a new scourge.
Oh, shit.
And this country went through a good 15 years of trauma from passion fruit iced tea. And now it's these mini grape tomatoes, these miniature cherry tomatoes. They fucking taste sour. They're chewy. Okay. But again, euphemistic titles. Honeycomb, Sweetie, Yellow Pear, Rapunzel, Tiny Tim. When they give it the fucking Sweetie names and you go, oh, I'm a Tiny Tim or Little Rapunzel or Tiny Little Sweetie Pear. Honeycomb. They suck. They're fucking chewy. So you take a tomato that is chewy and acidic and bitter, and then you just called a little sweetie, and you replace my fucking tomato, my Roma tomato or my beefsteak tomato, which is the best. And listen, you could say beefsteak tomatoes euphemistically named as well, but there's no better description for that tomato, a big slab of beefcake. Okay, I go out in Naples, and I order avocado toast.
All right.
All right, now I want a fucking slab of tomato on top of my avocado toast, but I get these little burnt offerings, these little pussy,
Yeah, when you
chewy.
bite into them, they vomit back into your
They
mouth.
vomit into your mouth. They taste like shit. Nobody likes them. Now, there's something going on. They last a lot longer
That's true.
than a tomato. And that's what's going on. People go, oh, it's a little mini. Oh, and the people are so stupid that they get caught up in the aesthetic over the actual flavor. So I had to order slices of tomatoes to supplement my avocado toast because there's nothing you can do with these things and all they do is fucking roll off. They're not part of the sandwich. There's nothing. It's a pure aesthetic. You might as well just spray paint golf balls pink and put them next on the side of your plate. Then I go back to the hotel the following morning.
Oh yeah.
And they got a buffet. And they got one of my favorite things, which is bagels and lox. Now the thing about lox is they're a little powerful.
Yeah.
So you got to step on them.
Yeah.
You toast the bagel, you put the cream cheese on it,
Yeah.
then you put the lox,
Yeah.
then you put a nice slab of tomato, salted up a little pepper, then you put the onion on top of that, and you got a sandwich right there. You got a bagel. All right. The picture that I'll show you from before of the cut tomatoes are the tomatoes from the bagels and lox. So how are you going to take these little mini chewy offerings? What are you supposed to do? Like bedazzle your bagel with them? You need a wheel. You need a slab of tomato, and they cut these things up. And I don't know what you're supposed to do with them. Are you supposed to take a bite of one and then take a bite of the bagel? You can't incorporate it. It sucks. They're bitter, they're sour, and they're chewy, and they suck, and they're popping up everywhere now. Don't believe me? I just got off the road completely traumatized by these little tomatoes that are now ubiquitous and taking the place of our tomatoes. You order a salad now, they come with it on the salad. I walked in. I came from the airport with Dr. Drew and his wife.
Yeah.
I came from the airport because he flew out of Fort Lauderdale.
All right.
And we're on the same flight. And they got back, and his wife had ordered a delivery of groceries because they've been gone for a week. And when I woke up this morning and I opened the fridge, there was a whole container of these little miniature tomatoes in a clear, staring me right in the face.
Just a slap in the face.
Slap. Oh, she did on purpose. You know she did on purpose. Oh, don't kid yourself.
I think you're becoming not welcome over there.
Maybe she's trying to drive me
Send you a
away.
message.
Show me like a cross to a vampire. No, garlic to stay in the culinary
A
world.
horse head in the morning.
Yes. Jesus Christ. People, do not get drawn into this. It looks cool. They're all different colors now. They got these cutie little names. People like it because they go, oh, look, it livens up. They taste like shit. They're chewy. And you're replacing. Imagine, you know what I said to Drew? Dawson, you love salsa. If you tried to make salsa out of these fucking tomatoes, people throw it right back in your face because they're chewy and they're shitty and they taste
Sour.
bad. If you can't make salsa out of it, then how can it be a good tomato?
It ain't.
Beef steak, but the beef steaks only last so long.
Yeah.
And that's why they're going cheap. These little buggers, because they're these little chewy little marbles that last 3 weeks in your refrigerator or the one at the restaurant.
Yeah.
We got to step up. We got to start fighting back. Someone has to say something now. You need to go to the management of the hotel and go, I'm trying to do bagels and lox. I can't do it with these little round, little burnt offerings you offer. Go get some tomato, slice it up. Let me put the tomato on top. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Cherry tomatoes, the scourge of the century.
They're little pussy little balls.
Yes, I agree. I know. I can't.
Okay. But here's the thing that's interesting about our society. I don't think anyone likes these things, but yet we'll accept them.
That's capitalism, baby.
Yeah, they're
We accept
showing up
them.
on every fucking salad now.
We
every
accept them
salad
because
has.
we're conditioned to accept. We're
Yes.
not conditioned to fight, but are they easier to grow? Are they more
Manufactured accepted.
cheaper
Cherry
to
tomatoes
harvest?
has to end right now.
I'll tell you what's
There's
going on.
got to be a reason. The reason's always money.
Find the multicolored ones. There's a packet. I was showing Andrew before the show. This is what was in Dr. Drew's house. Okay, Dawson, let me clue you in. A lot of it is women because the aesthetic is something. Any woman I've been with goes, oh, look at that. That's so beautiful. You know, I mean, it looks amazing. They take pictures of food.
Yeah.
We take pictures of them taking pictures of food, but they take pictures of food. You know what I'm saying? And you can find it's a petite medley, but if you find other pictures of this petite medley, you'll see, there's purple ones and there's yellow ones. And they all taste like shit.
Yeah.
They all taste like ass, but women go, look at them.
Look at the color.
Look at them. Yeah. You know what I'd like to do with women? I'd like to find an infant. I'd like to find Adolf Hitler's an infant and show them all pictures of it and have them go, oh, look at him. And I'd go, that's my great-great-grand. And they'd go, oh, he's delightful. He's a delight. And then I'd yell, that's Adolf Hitler. So it can't all be aesthetic. It can't all be aesthetic, ladies. This is the Holocaust of tomatoes that we're looking at here. But it's done in a pleasant way. It's shit. These are shit tomatoes. They look good, and they're cheaper because they'll last 100 years at the restaurant. The other stuff's going to go bad in 2 days. So they buy it, and then they cut it up, and then they throw it on the salad, and then we go, oh, look at that. Look at that. It tastes like shit. So we need to step up right now.
Flip side is if I get.
By the way, hold on. How can I put this on my avocado toast if it won't sit on it? It rolls off.
Yeah, I don't understand.
How can you put it on your bagel and lox? How can you even use it?
It's a carnival game. Yeah.
Look at little Adolf. No, I won't say Adolf. I'll say his name's Dakota. All right. Margaret Cho, very fascinating comedian and artist and now singer, songwriter, movie maker. We will talk to Margaret Cho right after this. Home chef drowning in a sea of meal kit options. It's like a bad dating game show, and all the contestants look the same. That's where Home Chef comes in. Fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Over 30 options a week covering a variety of dietary needs. The one I tried recently, which was great, which was urban crusted salmon with garlicky zucchini. That's right, it's garlicky. I don't know if they made that word up, but that's what it's called, and peppers, and it was real good. And you do save money as well. Save an average of $86 per month on groceries. That's right, because go to the grocery store, man. You don't get out of there for under $300 these days. Home Chef even has a delicious kid-friendly menu with 18 new options each week for picky eaters. It is approved. It is the best meal deal on the planet Earth. Am I right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life. And of course, free shipping on your first box. Just go to homechef.com/Adam. That's homechef.com/Adam for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. You heard that right. Homechef.com/Adam. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
Adam and Eve. Yeah, baby. Let's make this Valentine's Day one you will never forget. You've got to take advantage of this brand new deal from Adam and Eve at adamandeve.com/ace. This is absolutely the best deal we have ever offered, and you deserve the best Valentine's Day ever, and it's coming with Adam and Eve. This is a limited time offer, so get your 4 sex toys while supplies last. That's right. They're going to run out quick because, we're a passionate nation. Go to adamandeve.com and collect those toys. That's right. While supplies last. That's adamandeve.com/ace. Yeah, let your fingers do a little walking over there. adamandeve.com/ace.
Take a look at adamandeve.com/ace to see what 4 sex toys will be yours for just $20. Go to adamandeve.com/ace. It's the only way to get this offer.
Carolla Show.
Margaret Cho's doing music now, stand-up tour, podcast, all kinds of stuff. The music's coming out on Valentine's Day. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
The album?
correct. My album Lucky Gift is coming out.
Has music always been a part of your world?
I've been doing music since 2008. So, yeah. I mean, it's always hard because I think when comedians do music, people are scared that it's going to be terrible or like it's going to be too good, like Steve Martin. He's too good.
Yeah.
He's such a great musician.
Yeah. I don't know any. I've never said that guy sucks on the banjo because I feel like all banjo players seem to be impressive to
Right.
me.
That's true.
So I've never
It's so
heard.
tough.
I've never been like that guy's kind of fair to middling with the banjo because I don't have anything to compare it to. But yes, he's a gifted guy who probably could have picked any sport he wanted because he's such a great athlete.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
in the analogy.
You can kind of do everything.
But on the other hand, the other day I was listening. Yesterday, Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time came on.
Yeah.
And then Don Johnson's Heartbeat
Oh.
came on.
Yes.
And so it doesn't always work out for the celebrity to cut the album.
I think those are both bangers, though. My girl wants
Do
to
party all the time.
Yeah, but
Party.
Heartbeat, if you find Heartbeat, Dawson, and the aforementioned John Travolta
Yes.
let her in.
Is this Heartbeat?
This is Heartbeat,
Rockin'.
not dated at all.
She's only 15. oh.
I don't care what you say, you can give it away. Your money don't mean much to me. I've been out on my own, gonna go alone now, 'cause that's the way it's got to
See,
be.
this is a time where if you had a popular show, they just go make a song, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was like Miami Vice era.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
You
Yes.
know, I mean, he could do no wrong. This was like actually a great idea to have. I can see him in like a pink suit,
Oh, I thought I
Yeah.
was going white, but yeah,
white,
pink's better.
yeah, or like a yellow, like a maze.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like it.
But it's not like he can sing, right?
It's it's all right. I mean, he can definitely carry
right.
it. Yeah,
You brought up John Travolta.
yeah.
Have you heard Letter?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to miss that part, but I'll play it to you. Dawson will find it.
I do think that he is of the time. He's also talented in musical comedy. So you had Grease.
Yep.
He actually disinvited me to the 40th year celebration of Grease when Olivia was still alive, and I'm good friends with the director Randall Kleiser, and we were going to do a big party to celebrate Grease, and he asked that I not come.
Oh.
Because he heard your stand-up
Yeah,
routines?
I think he's mad at me.
Is there anyone who isn't gay who we think is gay?
No. I mean, I don't think...
What about Wolverine guy? What's his name?
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman.
I actually don't think he's gay. I think he's actually heterosexual, but loves the musical theater.
So I guess the question is, I agree with that. But my question is sort of, how does... I'm basically saying, look, if everyone thinks you're gay, you're probably gay just because I don't know how that works. How did everyone arrive at this place?
I think that there has been just so much talk about John Travolta over the years. And then when I worked with him on Face Off, the movie, I was with him every day for a year.
That's right. You played an FBI agent
Yeah.
in Face Off, one of the greatest cinematic triumphs ever.
It's a really fun movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. But I ended up eating with him every day, and he and I would eat, he would eat a whole boysenberry pie to himself, like a 9-inch.
Really?
Like a straight 9-inch to the head every day.
Wow.
And
Pretty gay.
Yeah, we would just talk about beef Wellington and pie, things wrapped in pastry. Mm-hmm. And he was like a king. So I don't know if he's actually homosexual, but he acted so flamboyant to the point of, like a king would act, you know?
But he is he's like a certified commercial pilot too, which is
Yeah.
kind of a straight argument for some reason.
Yeah.
Although
Seriously.
if you're a woman, it's more of a gay argument, you know.
I don't know. Do you know? I don't know any gay pilots, so I can't.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't
That's
speak
what
to
I'm
that.
saying.
I'm not sure, but I think you can do both.
No, it's possible.
We're just saying
I'm just
percentage-wise,
saying,
yeah.
if you said, is this woman a pilot, a certified commercial pilot? I went, I don't know. And he went, she's lesbian. I'd go, oh, okay, so maybe she's got a better shot at it.
Yeah.
But if a guy said the guy was gay, I would say no. So it's weird. It's like I don't think of pilot as gay.
Yeah.
But then John Travolta mixes it up a lot.
He mixes it up. You know, he had a long, very, very famously romantic relationship, marriage,
Yep.
kids, everything. So
And a lot of tragedy, too. His kid died, his
incredible
wife
tragedy.
died.
Incredible tragedy. It's true.
All right, should we make fun of Letterman a little bit more? As long as we've got Yeah,
He's busy.
They should have rolled. He was probably just finished off a boysenberry pie from Dupar's.
Yeah, and he just ran in and just put this down.
So I forgot Face Off. Like, that's the greatest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
I do too. I do too.
I find it kind of strange that your reasoning for his homosexuality was boysenberry pie.
Well, it's more that his attitude of like the pie contained birds that would fly out. You know, he was just such a king-like presence that you could almost imagine miracles like that happening. You know?
Get it? Yeah.
So music been a part of your world.
Yes. Yes.
And but you're aware that when people who aren't known for it do it,
Yeah.
sometimes they can be
It can be
they
terrible.
Can judge.
It can be so terrible.
Where did you? And you had, God, what was your sitcom from all those days?
It's All American Girl from
Yes.
1994.
What was that?
It was
no, I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it well, but I mean, it must have been crazy for you.
Yeah.
Where do you come from?
Well, I come from San Francisco, and I was doing stand-up comedy when I was 14, and I started to just get a lot of attention around the early 90s when people were developing shows for comics. So I got swept up in that era of like, you know, Tim Allen and, you know, Seinfeld, of course. And so they wanted to have another show that was about a comic. And so that's what I got that deal out of.
How was it doing stand-up when you're 14?
It was really juvenile and dumb. Like, it's like, I don't even know why, but I just wanted to be an adult and I wanted to be a comic. I loved it. So I just knew.
And how was your family with it?
They were kind of like, they didn't understand what it was. Like, they didn't understand what comedy was. There's no equivalent in Korea. There's a long-standing stand-up comedy tradition in Japan. But they don't really have it in Korea. Korea is like more like sketch comedy and like, I don't know, like clowns, but not like somebody talking with authority about things as stand-up comics are.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just talking to Yakov Smirnoff about being a comedian in Russia, and he's like, well, you'd have to get licensed.
Yeah.
And then every year you'd turn in all your material.
Wow.
And then they would vet your material, and then they'd cross off stuff and give it back to you.
Wow.
And you'd have to get a permit. You were literally like you were an inspector, like a meat inspector or something, except for you were a comedian.
Right.
And they were so, meticulous or whatever they were back then that you would get vetted, certified, licensed. Here's the material. Cross off a few words. This is what you can do for the year. And no doing anything different than this. And the people that everything was owned by the government. So it's like if you couldn't go into some club and start talking.
Well,
how you
Gavin
wanted
Newsom
to.
has a few plans for you, Adam
Oh,
Carolla.
no. I got to get vetted?
Yes.
Oh, how'd you do
Licensed.
during the fires, speaking of that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait! I evacuated I have 3 cats,
Oh, no.
and like that was like really scary.
Scary, yeah.
I'm like, I actually live really close to here. Nice studio. Did you have to evacuate here?
Well, I don't live here.
Yeah, but
I was
still.
in Malibu.
There's a lot of valuable stuff here, but that too. Did you have to evacuate?
Oh, 1,000% and been gone. This is like a 1-month anniversary for me of not going home.
You still not there?
Yep.
Nope.
Wow.
I'm staying at Dr. Drew's house.
Oh, that's good.
I like it.
Seems like that there's such fire safety.
General safety with the doctor, I
Yeah.
think. And I've always liked hanging out with Dr. Drew.
He's a good guy.
And I always thought he was a good guy. And And so this is a weird little slumber party.
I like that.
Over at Dr. Drew's house.
So then you are staying. Have you been recording anything with him too, like the good old Loveline days?
We do a podcast together here, and that's out a few days a week. And I think I was on his show in his studio at his house, but I'm just staying in his son's room right now. And he likes it. I like it.
Maybe keep it. Maybe just stay. Are you going to go back? When are you going to go back home?
Well, so it's interesting because I can't get any definitive timeline on what if the power's on.
Oh, wow.
I can't figure out what there's like. They'll let you back with an escort, and to me, I was like, all right. I'll pick up a prostitute and take her back, but there's no power. I assume that's what they're talking about. You got to get an escort to go back, and then there's no water, there's no sewage, there's no gas, there's no electricity. So if you have no utilities, you can't really
camping.
Stay where you want to stay,
terrible. But everything is like, okay, like nothing got damaged.
Everything got damaged, just not my place.
Right.
Everything in front is gone. And many things to the right and the left are gone. It was also kind of weird in that when I got my place, which is sort of up on the hill above PCH, I went and looked at probably 7 or 8 places on that hill and then arrived at my place at the end. But as I did get an escort and did go back a couple of weeks ago and drove over the hill or through the hill, many of the places that I looked at are gone. And even a place that I wanted and somebody got before I could get it and blah, 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 that's gone.
Wow.
So it's real luck of the draw shit, you know?
Are you going to still live there?
Well, it's kind of a weird hand dealt cosmically because I now, from my living room and my master bedroom, can see the ocean and the white water and the sand. Whereas before there were homes there and I got a good view of the ocean, but I was just looking at the ocean. I wasn't looking at the sand.
Yeah.
Now every one of those homes is gone.
Wow.
And I literally just stare at the sand from where I am. So on one hand, it's like, well, your view just got better.
Yeah, totally.
But on the other hand, everything around you is burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will stay if they ever let me back. They don't.
Yeah.
It's a weird. There's a vacuum of information. I keep saying, like, is the power on? Well, the power's. Like, what you could do is you could call a restaurant that was half a mile away and call them and go, are you open? Is your power on? But they wouldn't guarantee your power a half mile, It's kind of clusterfucky.
It is. But I mean, I'm grateful that my house is standing. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm back. The power's on. Everything's okay. But I had to get cats. I have 3 cats and trying to get them in the carriers. I was so scared.
Yes.
But my energy was so insane that I came down the stairs and 2 of the cats were sitting in their carriers because they knew, we're gonna fucking die. She's serious. We better get. What
do you make of that?
I think they just hadn't felt me be that panicked before. Like the smoke, I could see the smoke coming over the hill and the red of the fire in the sky, and I was just like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. So I just was emitting that fight or flight energy. So I think they tapped into the animal fear. I think, but I didn't take anything except my cats and my dog. There were so many things that I should have taken. What did you take?
Oh, well,
Socks.
I didn't take enough socks, but I do appreciate people that are sending me socks.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
America has a heart.
Package was.
I'm getting socks sent here from strangers, and I wear the socks they send me because I'm out of socks.
Yeah.
I was evacuated 3 weeks earlier with another fire that people forget about. There was a fire 3 weeks earlier.
Oh.
And it was the one that was more toward Pepperdine and less toward the Palisades, which are sort of on either end of Malibu.
Right.
So I'd already evacuated, been gone a night or two, and then came back. So when I was being evacuated again, I was sort of like, well, this isn't going to last more than a day or two because we just did this, and it's obviously lasted much longer than that. So I didn't pack with a fire in mind. I packed with this is just a procedural thing that they need us to do, but we'll be coming back, so I don't need to take any valuables.
Yeah.
But really the sad testimonial for me is when the fire was raging, and I was thinking about, well, what is left behind for me? And the answer, and I don't have anything there. I don't have jewelry or keepsakes or whatever. It's kind of a beach housey kind of thing. I mean, the good news, I would say, is most of those people who lost their house on PCH lost their beach house and they live in Bel Air or Beverly Hills or something.
Right.
And all the scrapbooks with the grandkids and the pictures and the awards and all the people with their Tony Awards and all their Oscars and Golden Globes, that's in Bel Air.
Yeah.
And that's the beach house is 1,400 square foot cottage, where they hang out and drink Corona, but they don't have all of their life's work there. And I had a model of a car. It sounds retarded,
Kind of.
but it's a stupid model, but it's of my car.
Yeah.
And it was really expensive, and I was picturing that melting. That's all I got. Other than that, it's socks.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
and
all you need.
stuff. And I don't, like I said, jewelry or whatever. So I'm not back. I don't know when I'm going back. I'm going to Dr. Drew's house.
Good.
So how's your music? It's like punk rock or something?
It's power pop.
No, really?
I make power pop. So I wanted to make a Bangles record. I wanted to be like the fifth member of the Bangles. I wanted to be the other Go-Go. I wanted to be at the Lilith Fair. It's something that could slide right in.
That's awesome, yeah.
To the Lilith Fair era. So
I
it's
could see you in that, yeah.
Pop. Yes.
Oh.
I love girl pop bands.
Me too.
I love the Bangles. I love the Go-Go's. But I also love like Kim Wilde and Josie Cotton
them.
and those sort of Mickey songs
I love them.
and stuff, and those kind of K-rock youth stuff I would listen to. I love, I was just listening to Mickey. Is that Kim Wilde?
Tony
Or is it
Basil.
Tony Basil. There's
Yeah.
Josie Cotton. There's Tony Basil. There's Kim Wilde. I think, I love that shit.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know, but then there's deeper cut go-go songs that are better than the pop ones that get a lot of spins on the radio that you guys should go investigate, is what I would say.
Yeah, I love the Go-Go's, and I just love women's voices and rock, and so I wanted to make a record that was all about that. And I've gotten to spend a lot of time with Cyndi Lauper and Joan Jett over the years, and so I've picked up some tips. So I'm grateful for my education in rock.
You sing on the tracks, and
yeah.
and you play guitar.
I play pretty much everything that has strings. Although I'm not good, but I play enough to write. So.
And how about like the band? How do you do that?
Well, it's I work with a lot of different people. I worked with Garrison Starr, who I absolutely love her. She's an amazing singer-songwriter, and she produced it, and she's in my band. And so we're doing a live show here in LA on February 13th at Largo.
All right.
So yeah.
That's great.
Pretenders, man.
Yeah, I love the
Chrissy
Pretenders.
Hines,
She's
the
so
best.
cool.
I totally agree.
She's so cool.
I love her. I love Mystery Achievement. I don't know why. I've always dug that. I know people think I'm a misogynist, but I love all that. I love all girl
it.
power pop music.
Me too. Chrissy Hines is amazing. She still rocks. She's still out on tour all the time. Like, it's really incredible.
I know. It was one of the few times I've ever done I'm going to go up to that celebrity thing. I've interviewed her a time or two. I love the Pretenders. I've always loved the Pretenders. I love their first album. I love their second album. They have more. There's also one of those bands where the songs that get the most spins, like Brass and Pocket, not as good as like Mystery Achievement and other songs that are even. They have some really rocking songs. And I was at a event in London at a high-end car race, and she was the entertainment that night at the big ball. And I just stood there, and I was like, I've interviewed her before.
Yeah.
I know who she is. I'm such a huge Pretender fan, and I would never do this, but when she walks off stage, I'm going to go say something. I'm going to go say hi to her.
Yeah.
And it was at a big event at like Lord Chichester's manor up on the hill. Like it's a Goodwood festival, and Lord, I gotta think of Lord's last name. Okay, here's how much money this guy had. The car that was the model that I was worried was going to burn down, that I have the actual car of.
Yeah.
He flew it to London so that I could drive it at his event. He put it on an airplane and he flew it there. So that kind of money.
Yeah.
And she did all the hits. And the second she stepped off stage, she stepped to like a back area that had like a curtain and stuff. It wasn't a proper venue. It was like a tent, big tent with stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to go say hi to her. And she walked off stage, and I just like pulled the tent curtain open, and I walked back there, and I looked around, and I just saw her ass climbing into a town car. And she walked off the stage and walked right into a car with like a Range Rover with the back door open. She said, pull that Range Rover up, open the door. I'm not even going to knock. And when I walk off of the stage, I'm going to walk straight into it and leave. And she wasn't there for 1 millisecond. And that was it. Yeah.
That's incredible.
But I learned a valuable lesson.
What's that?
I should have just sat there. I should have sat there. I should have never tried that.
I think you should have said hi. I like you're a big star too. You're iconic. Absolutely. So she would have been excited to see you.
Lord March is who's Lord. He has a castle on the hill, and he has a race up his driveway to his castle.
Wow.
And then he gets Chrissy Hines to, probably throws
what an event.
50,000 pounds
That's
at her
like
and gets her
crazy.
to swing by.
That's like that's just like an amazing. It could be like a movie. That kind of event.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I have no idea what goes on out there in the out in the English countryside. It's crazy.
You mean like Illuminati orgies?
There's a lot of people that got a lot of money that do a lot of things, and we don't want no beef. We don't want no beef, Elon. Well, have you seen? I don't know. They did go like, oh, it's Hollywood, with these P. Diddy parties and stuff like that, or Epstein, on his jet and his island and stuff. I never got to go either.
I never got invited.
I don't go to any of that shit.
I never got. But I never even heard about it. Like I didn't even know. Like I'm just like, wow, I have no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, good for us.
I guess.
We have no idea.
Well, I've been to afterwards with the mop,
Cleaning up.
To mop up.
All the baby oil. So much baby oil.
So much. We just used Dawn on that.
Yeah, really.
I love the fact that the baby oil is such a big part of this for some reason.
Just that he stocked up on
It's a red herring. It's to throw you off all the terrible crimes this guy has allegedly done.
Well, baby oil is not, petroleum products are not friendly to condoms.
No.
So
that's what I mean.
Or skin. It's not a good lubricant for skin.
Oh my God.
You got to use lube, like water soluble lube, right?
I think they also did have Astroglide.
Look, you guys are trying to talk to the guy who's the most experienced. Like, I think Diddy knows a thing or two more about petroleum jelly than you guys do.
He may know something.
Expert level, yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, start off at 14. Family doesn't really understand.
They don't understand. But then I was able to make a living by the time I was 18, and I was doing television. So do you remember in that era we had like Evening at Improv and Half Hour Comedy Hour and all of the
We're talking about
TV
late
shows.
80s, early...
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, there were tons of shows for stand-ups.
Yeah.
They did, 3 to 5 minute cleanish sets.
And then I got on the Bob Hope Young Comedian special, and then my parents were like, "Oh, this is great."
That meant something to them.
Because it's Bob Hope.
Yeah.
So then it was like, oh, well, then obviously this is a career now. So then they didn't bother me so much. But then I was like, by the time I was 18, I was on television pretty regularly. I
Was
on
it
Star Search.
Was it like too much too soon, or was it good?
No, it was good. It was never. No, I don't think when you're a comic, it's never really too much too soon. I mean, because you have to work for it. It's not like rock stars where they have the mass adulation. For comics, it's so humbling because you have to start from the beginning every time you go on stage.
Yeah, but I mean, I was talking to aforementioned Yakov Smirnoff, and it's like his shit just blew up overnight with Ronald Reagan and Soviet Union and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, he was just like everywhere all the time. And then the Berlin Wall came down and the Soviet Union broke up and he was out of work.
Right.
Like immediately.
Right.
His entire, it was like, there were guys who did like Richard Nixon impersonations, and then Richard Nixon's out of the office.
Right.
And now what act do you have?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can happen,
That's
you know?
true. That's true. Like those, sometimes where the fame is so enormous, like you can't recapture the cultural moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yours was a little steadier.
I don't know.
But did you find that you had to diversify, like do some acting, do some singing, do some writing?
No, well,
do
yes,
some
yeah.
different, like have a bunch of different irons in the fire?
Yeah, I mean, I always did just because I could only get so many jobs. They didn't have like acting roles for Asians that much. So it was like really hard to do that. So I was always just trying to figure out what else can I do? Can I like write a book? Maybe that'll work, or do more stand-up comedy, or do music, whatever it is I could do, I would just try to get any job.
I don't know. You were the Asian lady TV lady
for years.
Like for a good long stretch.
Yeah, which is
it's
good.
a very interesting place to be, you know?
Yeah,
Because
it's really
someone had
good.
to be like the, forebearer, like the
Yeah.
first person out the gate, So I guess that's a lot of pressure. And,
Yeah.
I know. What do you think
I'm
about
grateful for that. And the reason why there's so many Asian comics now is because they saw me doing what I was doing and got inspired. So people like Ali Wong or Bowen Yang or Joel Kim Booster, they're all really inspired by my work. So I always hit them up for jobs. I always try to force them to put me into be their mom in whatever they're doing.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
All right, so now we'll talk about our story all those years ago when you came to my home.
I came to so I wrote a script.
Yes.
And I came.
And I'm not bringing it up to put you on the spot. But I always am interested, like when people talk about some old man show thing or something. Jimmy will go, "This is what happened," and then I'll go, "No, this is what happened." We'll have different versions of what happened. So I've never heard your version. So I'm curious of it.
So I wrote a script that actually of a movie that didn't get made, but if it did, I realized it would probably be a lot like Trainwreck, Amy Schumer's film.
And you lived up in the Hollywood Hills. Like
I lived down the street
near
from
me.
you. I lived I lived on Belden, which was right off of Ledgewood, which I think you were right there.
I was on Berkshire, but yeah, right in there.
So it was like maybe half a mile or something. So I walked down there, and then I had your phone number, and it was by my telephone, my rotary phone.
Yeah.
And so we had talked about I dropped the script off. I don't know if I talked to you when I went to your house.
You did. You said, "I'll walk over."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You don't have to walk over. You could drive over or something." I remember thinking it was peculiar, but then I realized you were so close.
Yeah, it was really close. Then I went home, and then I had your number next to my rotary phone, and I got super drunk. I had a drinking problem. So I got super drunk that night, and I think I called you, and I don't remember anything else. But I was so mortified that I did that I didn't drink alcohol again for 8 years.
Wow, I scared the booze out of you. And I started doubling down after that night. Yeah, you came over, you had a script. It was a little bit sexual, as I recall.
Yeah.
And so the thing about me is you can't offend me. Everything is interesting to me, but I grew up with one of my friends putting me in a headlock and smacking me in the head. And I don't have personal space or boundaries. Like a lot of people go, that guy's invaded my personal space.
Yeah.
It's also different for a woman because as a dude who played football and boxed and stuff, I don't really have a personal space that you can invade, so I don't really care. You coming over drunk it was all amusing to me. I found it interesting more than any kind of invasion of privacy or space or
This
anything.
was like 30 years ago, and oh yes, led to my recovery. I drunkenly hit on Adam Carolla, and he felt I was too disgusting to fuck, and so he ridiculed me on his radio show. Led to my recovery.
I did not think you were too disgusting to fuck. I would be in the habit of anything that happened to me during that day, I would talk about that night on the radio. And this was a unique situation
Very unique.
that I shared, but I did not say you were too disgusting to
Also,
fuck.
that you don't follow me. What is that?
I
That's
should follow
worse. No, but what I think is, this was 30 years ago, and we were so hot then.
Yeah, it's true.
We were so adorable. If you think about that now, like you look back and you're like, oh my God, precious baby children.
I know.
Beauty, the youth and beauty.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was pert near 30 years ago. It wasn't quite there, but it was over 25 years ago. And then later I ran into you at Kathy Griffin's house.
Yes.
And that was when you were in recovery, I
Yes.
guess, or
Yes.
doing the steps.
And I said, I'm never going to sexually harass you again. You know who was right next to us? Paul Rubens.
Oh, was he?
He was right next to us. I actually moved him to get to you.
Those are some interesting parties Kathy used to throw.
Yes.
And I kind of wonder, I was friends with Kathy before any kind of celebrity because I knew her from the Groundlings way back in the day. And I would go to parties at her apartment, like when she just had roommates in a small apartment and stuff like that. And then later she kind of turned into Kathy Griffin. And now I kind of worry about her. I don't worry about her, but I feel like she's suffering a little bit, like mentally, like she seems very...
Well,
Like
she's been through a lot.
She has,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like she's coping well or something. I've interviewed her. She's been on the show. I always get along with her, and we're always good. But I don't know if there's a thing. Maybe you can speak to it. When I was younger, I noticed people just got older and they put on cardigan sweaters and like went to bed earlier and ate dinner at 5 and sort of shuffled around. And there seemed to be a version of getting older that I don't see anymore.
Yeah.
Now it seems there seems like no one ever. There was no 65-year-old that talked about their anxiety when I was a kid. It was just, you're just old, you go to bed early, you try to not to get fat or something. You had stuff you liked, you start doing crossword puzzles or something. Is there some weird pressure? I mean, as a woman, you have to look young no matter what. Like, a woman could just get old back in the day. You start wearing your hair shorter. You dress a little differently. You didn't need to look like Miley Cyrus. You were getting older. Like, we accepted you, and it seemed saner.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, like, I don't want to have to, like, get plastic surgery or do any of that stuff. Like, I'm so against that. You know, I don't want to have to.
Yeah, but if there's a weird pressure to constantly look 29 and a half, then...
Definitely.
And
it exists.
When you go back and you look at these like sitcoms, you're like, oh, Aunt B was 51 at the time. And it's like, she's 51. Her hair's up in a beehive. She's matronly. She's wearing like support hose and stuff. I mean,
know.
It's crazy.
We're not really allowed to age in the same way. You know? It's like, well, the Golden Girls, they were in their 40s.
No!
Yeah.
You're shattering reality for me.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Oh, then it's less embarrassing that I beat off all the time to them.
Oh, well,
Less.
no. Less.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like Kathy, I don't know, maybe is her own worst enemy or something, puts too much pressure on herself or
She's
something.
funnier than ever. You know, she's
super
doing
funny.
great comedy. She's out there. She's on tour. She's, you know, I think that she's had a lot of tough stuff happen. You know, she just got divorced. And so that's like a tough thing as well. So it's hard, but I think that she's on the rise. I think she's coming back.
Well, I root for her
Me too.
because I like her.
Yeah.
And for you, have you ever been married?
I have been married, yes.
Oh, you have been?
Yes.
Divorced?
I'm divorced.
Did the guy take money from you?
No.
Oh, man.
Which is great.
I wish he did. I always laugh
I
when
mean,
that
not
happens.
a lot. Like,
Not
he
a
took
lot.
some, but not a lot. You know?
Because why? He had dignity?
We had a prenup. We had a pretty good prenup, which I was really smart about. And, and he's a good guy. So, I mean, I didn't do so badly, but I'm never getting married again because I don't want to mess around with that. I don't think I want to live with anybody again except for my animals.
Why is that?
I like to live in the middle of the bed. I like to eat whatever I want. I like to just make my decisions without having to ask somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I like that.
I wonder how much of that is just sort of biological. Like, you don't feel that way when you're 26, but then you get to a certain age and you're like, I like being left alone.
I
you know?
do.
I
I'm
get
stuck
it.
in my ways.
I get it. There's a thing where maybe it's a security, like you don't need somebody fawning over you or worshiping you or something. You just alone, quiet.
I like it. I like the quiet. I mean, I can have that sometimes. I have relationships, situationships. Situationships are great.
Men, women, both.
Yeah.
I never asked this, but is there, when you say bi, is it 52%, 48? Like, or is it just an exact split?
I don't know anymore. I think it's probably leans closer with men just because that's sort of who is interested. But also, there's a lot of women in there. There's a lot of non-binary people, trans people, gender non-conforming people. So lots of they, thems. They,
So
thems
you
are
can
heavily,
go trans?
Yep.
Wow.
Heavily represented, yes.
I'm always jealous of people that have no boundaries. I shouldn't say boundaries. Not that's not a moral accusation.
Right.
What I'm saying
Right.
is like they're guys and they just like skinny blondes. So all right, now you've removed whole continents.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then their guys are like, I like a big ass. It's okay, you've removed another group of people, or I only like the redheads or whatever
Right.
that thing is.
So limited.
Right. And then there's, I like everything all the time. And then once you open it up to both sexes, and now you get into trans, everyone's on the menu all the time,
Yeah.
and the restaurant's never closed.
Pretty much. But then you
Wow.
get exhausted. And then you're like, I don't know. I get a little bit jaded.
Wait, but what's the angle? Is like sexuality first, then romance, or romance, and how does it break down
It's
male
like
to female?
a
Is it
little-
like a romantic thing with a woman, and then it becomes sexual, or I don't
It's
know?
always different.
Yeah,
It's
that's
always
what I mean.
different. There's never any kind of real sort of way it happens. It's always different.
Now, how do you think your sexuality developed over life, like like you weren't into girls before, or were you always like that? Is there something from childhood age you already had romantic feelings towards the same gender?
Yes, as a young person, for sure. I think, and then in my early 20s, I started to sort of realize that I was attracted to men as well. Oh. And then that's sort of where it came about.
Oh, okay.
Well, women are the societal aesthetic. They have women, supermodels. There's no real male supermodels. So, like, I get the part where young women grow up looking at pictures of young women who are modeling or Barbie dolls or whatever, and they go, okay, I like the aesthetic, So you got that. And then you also have the part where, there's no worry of, penis and rape and stuff like that, So, like, I get that more women tend to be bi than probably men, although I haven't looked it up. And I also think women are much more sort of malleable. Like women can be with an unattractive guy and go, but I really love his personality, and so I'm attracted to him. Whereas guys don't. We're much more rigid, So in general, I think women are much better candidates for bisexuality because guys are just more rigid. And I don't know. That's why I tend, when women are bisexual, I tend to go, yeah, all right. And when guys are bisexual, I kind of go, I think he's gay, but he's just kind of keeping that
But that's
title.
that's
like
cultural, though. It
Yeah,
seems
like when Elton John was bisexual for a long time, but he was really just gay. He
Yeah.
just wanted to kind of ease into gay, you know?
Yeah. For a long time, I think people would use bisexuality as a kind of a cover for being gay, but
Yes.
a code for being gay. But really, I think there are a lot of people who are legitimately bi.
I think, and we'll never know, but I think there are women, many more women who are legitimately bi, and a larger percentage of bi men are gay who just don't want to fully go there or discuss that. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is more of a societal thing.
Yeah.
Although it's not really, I don't know, 2025, does anyone care anymore?
I think people care. I think people are concerned about how they appear, you know, and how it looks. So men are much more concerned about their image of their sexuality, you know, and I think they don't want to be judged on being bisexual. So there's a lot of bi men who don't necessarily come out as bi because they just don't want to make anybody think that. But then I've been like with a bi man who wasn't out, and I could tell, oh, you just like things, you know, for a man to do them. So it's clearly very bi.
I there's something about me. I've never been hit on by a guy.
Oh, really?
In my life, never.
I have.
Yeah,
Many times, all the time.
Nice.
Feel handsome every time.
That's nice.
I agree. It's a compliment,
It
right?
is.
Because gay men are very aesthetic. You
Yeah.
know, they like the look.
Yeah.
You know. But also, maybe there's a vibe. I'm not giving off the vibe, and maybe they're, you know, they probably have better gaydar than any straight guy does.
Yeah.
They need gaydar. They're gay.
Yeah.
I don't really need
Yeah.
gaydar. It's fun.
That's true.
And it's a novelty for
Or
me.
maybe you didn't know you were being hit on.
That's a
That
possibility.
could be it too.
I like to think that I was, but I never really. Maybe. Well, listen, I've been hit on in the sense where I've been hitchhiking, and the guy wanted to know if I want to go up to his apartment and smoke pot.
Oh,
that kind of hit on.
That's for sure.
But that's just spontaneous hit on.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So you say you have a bunch of trans friends. How are they feeling right now as the world
It's
evolves?
tough. It's scary.
Why
you
is
know?
that? Yeah.
Because when you have a president who's saying now there's only going to be two genders from this day
Seems
forward.
a little more complicated than that.
Which is so, which is basically saying you don't exist, which is not true. You know, there's so many people who are affected by that. It's
Is
very
there
scary.
trans? Here's my only problem. I try to figure out who's got their parts because I'm not uptight, and I feel like you can identify whoever you want. I really don't. I don't care, and it's all fine. But I don't want you, if you have your male parts, going into the ladies' locker room. I'd like to figure that one out. But then we used to have all the terms. We'd have pre-op and post-op and transsexual and cross-dresser, and we'd have all these
Don't
terms.
forget transvestite.
Transvestite. We sort of knew where you were at, but now those terms we don't use anymore, or we decided they're not in vogue, or they're hate speech or something. They're not appropriate to use. But my thing is, like, I have a teenage daughter, and if you got the surgery and you became a woman, then you'd be fine as a dad, for me, using the locker room. But if you just were a dude and said I'm a woman and want to go use the locker room with my daughter, then I wouldn't like it. But you won't let me ask what stage you're in or where we're at. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know why, and I don't know why that's so taboo, or why it's even, to me, it's a pretty straightforward proclamation, which is, I don't want a situation like the Wii Spa where the dude with the cock and the balls and the beard just went to the ladies' locker room and hung out with them, because that's just a dude and you're probably terrorizing some of the women in there. On the other hand, if that guy's had his procedures done and is, you know, a woman now, then go use that side of the spa. That's the way I feel. But how do you come down on
Well,
that?
I think what it is that when you're trans, it begins in your spirit, in your soul. Like, it's like being trans is a state of your identity that has nothing to do with your body. You know, and of course, like when you're trans, you want to then be able to transition and, you know, take hormones and get surgery, gender affirming surgery, whatever that is. But what I think the trans community, and I'm not trans, so I can't even really speak to it, but what I know from what I've heard is that it is more than just about the body. It's about your soul, your spirit, your gender is there, not in your physicality.
But how does that solve the locker room problem is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's something that has to be sort of worked out, I guess. But the main thing I think the trans community is trying to say is that we are who we are all the way inside. And the fact that our bodies don't match is what we're trying to correct.
Well, I think the solution sounds like it's coming from the other side. I think the reason that they want to use the woman's room if they're trans woman is because they don't want to get beat up by dudes in the men's room for like, you know, some kind of homophobic thing. I think that's really where we're missing the line. The guys on that side, if we're going to have, you know, people use the men's bathroom, you can't hassle them in there.
Well, my problem is the system is going to get gamed. If you take dudes and you go, look, the only thing, we got to ship you to a prison. Now, if you say you're a woman, then we'll ship you to a woman's prison. Then every guy I know would just identify as a woman and be shipped to a woman's prison because they would much rather be in a woman's prison than a men's prison. So there has to be some way to vet this. Otherwise, it's going to be dogs at the airport. Which is,
I did it, Carolla. I'm going to tell you, it's a hard time.
You went? Oh, you were in prison? You were in a male prison, right?
No, I identified correctly and
as a male, ended up in a male prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, all I've figured out is if you say to somebody, you can't get into UCLA, but if you do have some Indian blood in you, like you're 1/10 Iroquois Indian, then you could get into UCLA. Everyone's going to start saying, I have 1/10 Iroquois in me, so they can get into UCLA. That's it's the sad state of the world we're in. And then you got to go, well, then who does have Indian blood that legitimately can get in? And now we're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think that like all of that, like affirmative action never helped Asian people. So I can't really.
Well, not at UCLA.
No, for sure.
No, because you aren't considered a minority, even though you are a greater minority in terms of Black or Hispanic, much less Asians, but you're not a minority on campus at UCLA because of basically the work ethic leading into college. And so you don't get any minority love as a legitimate minority in college UCLA. But now, where do you come down on that? Because now Asians are suing, Harvard and UCLA and stuff, and they're saying we are being discriminated against. And I go, good, you are. You should sue if you're being discriminated against.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that everybody that is approaching anything like that, we just want equality. Like we've lived in such an unequal society for so long that we're just trying to figure out how do we equalize it. And all of these measures aren't perfect, but at least they're an attempt to make a society where we have some level of equanimity.
Well, yeah, but there's equality and equity, and that's the problem. But so here's what it really comes down to. Everyone goes, look, UCLA, for the sake of argument, 50,000 students, let's just say. And then you go, well, a very small percentage of those are Black or Hispanic. So what do we do? And you go, well, we're going to try to get more Black and Hispanics attracted to this. And so what do we have to do that? And you go, well, we can monkey around with SAT scores a little bit and start focusing on other things and stuff like that. And it's all good. But at a certain point, it's not enough. They have to tap Asian students on the shoulder and go, guess who's not getting in? And that's where the rubber meets the road now, because now it's no longer the noble cause of trying to attract more of these people. It's holding back other people that deserve admittance to the college. And that's the part that we have to kind of reconcile. But it's also the part we're always going to run into. When I was poor and trying to be a fireman. They were like, sorry, white guy. And I was like, I'm poor. I should be able to try to be a fireman. And they're like, yeah, but you can't because we need to make room for another group. And so now I'm poor and being discriminated against. And that's where we're at. All right. Let me give the Elm out because I think join us next. Is Jacqueline Bisset? Let's see. I got my bio here. Jacqueline Bisset.
Wow.
Yeah. She's going to join the show. I mean, probably, I'm trying to think, definitely anybody, any male of a certain age will have Jacqueline Bisset baked into their psyche from the movie Deep.
Class.
Class.
Day for Night.
Yes.
Incredible long filmography.
Yes. All right. So, Margaret, Lucky Gift. It's available as we speak. Also, touring, podcasting. Should we give some dates out or just say where people can find you to find out your dates and tours and performances? MargaretCho.com?
Yes. I'm in Tacoma this weekend and then Albuquerque the weekend after, but I'm always everywhere.
You're always everywhere.
Yes.
And, if you're gay or straight or bi or trans curious or something, say hi after the show.
Yes.
All right. We'll take a break and we'll be back with Jacqueline Bisset right after this. All right. New Year's resolution. Vow to eat healthier, but what about your beloved pets and their nutrition? Yeah, you're doing better, but they're getting a bunch of dried up old kibble. Dr. Dennis Black created Rough Greens and Meow Greens to bring their dead food back to life with live vitamins and minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and more. See, pet food is dead food, and you eat dead food, soon enough, you're going to join it. You need to bring it to life. All, by the way, in a tasty formula your dog or cat will love. It'll improve their coat, digestion, energy, and mean less vet bills. I've been doing this with Phil, holding the sack right now. VitaSmart. You don't have to buy food and keep it in the refrigerator. You just sprinkle this on top of the food you're currently serving your dog or your cat. Get a Jumpstart trial bag. It's normally $20. It's free with the promo code Adam. You just cover shipping. It's a free Jumpstart trial bag. That's it. You just go to ruffgreens.com. Use the code Adam. Try it out for free. Your dog's going to love it, and you'll notice the difference quickly in your dog's vigor and health. Rough Greens, so good, your pet will ask for it by name.
Fetch a free Jumpstart trial bag for your dog today. Go to roughgreens.com. Just use promo code Adam. That's RUFF greens.com and use promo code Adam and just cover shipping. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Rough Greens. Here's a beat from Beat It Out with Adam Carolla and Jay Moore.
I was thinking about the gym, the hotel gym. You know, it's got the treadmill, fine. It's got the barbells and the dumbbells and all that, the TV, the thing, and the
just
mat
the old Nautilus
to stretch
combo.
on. But there's always one ambitious piece of workout equipment, like at the wall with the wood and the pegs on it or something.
I wish that was there.
I mean, it's never used. It's too ambitious for me. I'm not going to do it. But they have an ambitious piece of equipment that I'm not using, but it's there.
If there was the pegboard on the wall,
You would use
I
the
would go
pegboard?
straight Matthew Modine and Vision Quest. And
Would you?
Yeah, I would just do it for fun.
Subscribe to Beat It Out on Substack at adamcarolla.com/Substack. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Jacqueline Bisset is joining us on a landline, which sounds better than the non-landline. Jacqueline, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Well, it's a thrill to speak to you. I'm a fan, as most folks my age are, of Jacqueline Bisset, part of my youth, I should say, and beyond. Done so many memorable films over the years. Of course, remembered from The Deep and Bullet. and many other films spanning a 50-year
One a
career.
bit more recent. Could you find one a little more recent?
I'll find a more recent effort. Lauren and Rose. Well, that's a more recent one.
Oh, yes.
Available on Amazon Prime as we speak, and that is the most recent, right, Jacqueline?
Yes, and it's a really good one. It's a wonderful role for me.
Is it what's different about acting now versus, when you started? Is it a skill? Do you feel as if you've gotten better at it over the years?
I know I've got better, yeah, and I'm not nervous, and I search out difficulty and intrigue and things that fascinate me, and I enjoy saying them enormously. So when it's too simple, it gets a little flat.
Did you?
The whole thing has changed, the whole trend, and I think that what's being made nowadays is a lot of the year of the of odd subjects. And I don't really know quite what I think about it. I mean, they're interesting, but I'm not quite sure what I think about them.
Do you also feel like you were so beautiful aesthetically that you were given roles that were more for the ingenue and less for the actress, and now
you're assuming that I thought I was that. I never thought I was either pretty or anything. I was just incredibly intense and really into the work. I never saw that my role as being less than stellar.
No, I'm not assuming you thought that. I'm assuming people that cast you thought that or factored that in.
That confusion, you assuming that I think that, no, I didn't. I was incredibly grateful and thrilled to be working, and I got to work with some amazing stars.
That's absolutely true. And a lot of, Steve McQueen, Bullet. What was that like? Was he good or was he tough to work with?
No, he was good. He was kind. I had to do a test with him, and he was kind. And I really didn't know who he was. I really didn't know who all these actors were. I mean, I didn't have a background in cinema or at all. I grew up without seeing films hardly, except foreign films. And we didn't have television at home. So I came to America not really knowing the classics, except apart from Marlon Brando. He crossed the line for me. He was the only one I knew, I think.
And what age did you come out to Hollywood?
What age? I think I was 22.
And was it, you didn't grow up around it, so was that always the plan then if you didn't grow up around it? How'd that come about?
Well, I was attracted. Once I started going to see films, which was when I was about 15 or 16, I went to see foreign films. I was completely caught up in the magic of it. They were very psychological films. They were not big, to-do movies. I saw very few big movies. I saw The Mounting of Everest. I saw Snow White. And I saw a film on an opera, a Russian opera called Ujin Onegin. Those were the three films that I remembered seeing. And then there was, bits of TV I would see at other people's houses. We didn't have television. So I was really fairly uninformed, but I had great interest. I was very fascinated by ballet and music and interesting personalities. So that I was interested in, but I didn't know. I still don't know a lot of the classic films. The American films I didn't know at all.
What did your parents do, and what did they want you to do? Or did they want you to do something?
Oh, definitely. My mother was very much drawn to the arts, and she encouraged me. Do you know what she did? She didn't push me in any particular way, but they put kernels of seeds in my heart by taking me to art galleries, by taking me to very, very good ballet, to playing very good music on the record player. And these things just made me be interested. I wasn't spoiled. I didn't do all kinds of glamorous things as a child, but the only thing that really, really for me was the greatest thing was to go and see great ballet. I'd go to Covent Garden occasionally and see Margot Fonteyn dance and a few others. But there were a lot of books in the house, books everywhere, and those also were encouraged. And I was kind of a quiet child and a little introverted, and also extroverted. I had an interesting thing happen to me when I was about 17. I was at a dinner in Chelsea, in London, and I was sitting next to Roman Polanski, who I didn't know from Adam. But at the end of the meal, he said to me, "You are such an introvert. You might make a good actress." And prior to that, my Latin teacher at school had said to me, "You are such an extrovert. You might make a good actress." Well, those two conflicting thoughts absolutely blew my mind. I didn't dare think that I could ever be an actor. It was so far away. And but the kernel sort of grew, and that's how it really came, because I didn't know what I would want to do. My father was a doctor, and my mother was my mother, and my brother was away at school, and it was pretty simple stuff. And but I was well educated by my parents a lot, and I was very, very interested in stuff. And when I left school, which was like 19, I felt like, oh boy, now this is the beginning of my life. The school part was not horrendous. I wasn't good at it particularly, but I knew that it was setting me up for the future. My interests were going to grow, and film and going to see. I used to actually escape from classes when I was at school, the last part of my schooling, and go and see French films.
The introvert and extrovert part is interesting, because I think they both had a point. And I know a lot of people that perform and they do stand up, and I would count myself amongst them, of going and doing stand up on stage and then getting off stage and being kind of quiet and, wanting to slide through life without any notice or friction, or quietly. And I don't really know how to reconcile that. Like, who is this person, or which one are you? You know what I'm saying?
So what was the on-stage part? Were you funny? Did it work?
Oh yeah, I done plenty of stuff on stage that worked, but then I'm very quiet. After that, I guess would be the answer. Like, if I go to a restaurant, I like a booth, where it's just kind of quiet and off to the side.
Well, maybe you had too much attention when you were so good.
I don't know. I think it's a job. I think I always just look at it as a way to get paid, and then you stop. I don't know much. I don't know, prostitution or something, it's just, you do it, you get paid, and you go home, but you may not be that same person when you get home, I guess.
Oh, well, no, those are your issues. I don't know. I didn't really feel like I had those issues. I just was those two people, I guess, and then I added a whole bunch of other characters to them. So it's a quandary. But most good actors, in my opinion, are on the shy side. They're not the ones who get up at parties and show off.
Yeah, and is it because they get it out of their system with the acting, or you think it's that they're up in their head?
The stuff that they get to do in their work is they kind of peel the skin back, and they can get to those emotions. But those emotions are not just with them all the time. You have to look and you have to dig. And then the more you do, the more you have to dig, because you've already done explanations of things that were before, and you don't want to keep repeating yourself. So I think the process is, I feel that I can get to an emotion very, very quickly now, which I couldn't in the beginning. I was just like, I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know how to do the crying. I didn't know. But then I got in touch with my emotions, and now I can get there very, very fast.
Is it harder to memorize stuff as you get older? I definitely find that I'm having more difficulty committing things to memory.
No, my memory is pretty good. I find it's very hard to remember badly written stuff.
Yes.
If it's badly written, if it's well written, it's just, you get it. You get the story, you follow through.
Yes, when it's organic and the dialogue on the page sounds like it's a conversation, then it's much easier to regurgitate, or it's much easier to commit to memory, right?
Regurgitate. Well, in Lauren and Rose, I had a lot of dialogue, and I was frightened of it, and I said, will I ever be able to learn this and do it in this short period of time we had to do the shoot? But I started early, and I eventually, got to it, and it's a rhythm.
Yeah.
And my co-actor, my co-star, was very, very helpful to me, and a fantastic listener.
is
I
in
can
all.
tell you haven't seen the film.
Yes, no, but I shall.
It's okay.
No, I'll make an excuse, Jacqueline Bisset. I have been displaced from my place in Malibu for 1 month now, and I no longer have control over my TV set anymore. I cannot I watch whatever's on at the hotel I'm at. I don't get to like download shows and watch as I traditionally used to. So
What happened to you?
There was a fire, and
That's not a month ago. That's 2 weeks ago, isn't it? Is it really a month ago?
it's coming. I was thinking about this when I was driving to the studio from someone else's house I'm staying in. That, as memory served, this thing went down on a Tuesday, and this is like the fourth Tuesday since this thing went down. Not a month in 30 days, but a month in maybe 4 Tuesdays or something like that. But either way,
Did you lose your house?
What's that?
Did you lose your house?
No, I did not. Everything in front of me burned and everything to the side of me burned, but somehow I didn't lose my place. But I'm now just staying in hotels, so I no longer can watch the shows I would have normally watched.
What a bummer.
It is a bummer. Did you make it okay where you are?
Oh, in the canyon, so it's been hair-raising. I've been packing my car up, moving out, coming back, but, go on and on and on and on. And I've always dreaded this time. I always felt like I was living in a place which was dangerous. And people would say, no, you're in Beverly Hills, near Beverly Hills, they'll deal with it like that. And I said, they can't deal with fire if it comes really bad, strong. They can't. Nothing to do with Beverly Hills protection. It's just, I'm not in Beverly Hills. I'm out of Beverly Hills. But people make that remark as if people who have the luck to have a house are protected by the fact that they're in somewhere near Beverly Hills. It's complete rubbish. I mean, everybody goes, fire's a fire.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, they couldn't protect the Palisades or Malibu, and they're not in parts of Santa Monica. I don't know what they can do with you if you're Beverly Hills adjacent. And yeah, once the winds get to 90 miles an hour, it's pretty much force majeure at that point. But let's get away from tragedy. I just wanted to offer that up as an excuse.
Yes.
Recently, I was looking at something. I was looking at something on you, and it was a clip that had to do with the Me Too movement and your thoughts on that. I'm curious if you can share that with my audience.
I did an interview to talk about Lauren and Rose, and I was virtually never mentioned of it. I can't even remember talking about all this stuff. I felt like whatever they talked about, what they put in that paper, it was like I did an interview about that. What they said was pretty true, but of course it's more complex than just an outline. It's more complex.
No, I agree but that's the new world order and how journalists now work. You talk about a project, you mention it a time or two. They want to get into another subject, hopefully find something a little salacious in there. And then that's the headline.
I mean, I don't mind talking about it as a subject, but I would have liked to have known that I was doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And it is a lot more complex probably than what maybe first blush or what we've been talking about over the past several years. But I don't know you had to navigate this system for so many years that you must have had a front row seat to some of this stuff.
Yes, but not really. Not really. I was just so determined that nothing weird or that I didn't want would happen. I said, I'm fine in living in England in the little cottage with my parents and my little life. And I thought, well, that's good enough. There's nothing about Hollywood that's so special to me at that point that I'm going to sell my soul or do things that are just disgusting to me or just make me, piss me off. I'm just not going to. So I'll be off. I'll just, leave. I'll leave, and that was my bottom line. And people said to me, you were so well brought up. You were it was so hard to be angry with you in things because you were so polite and so well brought up. And studio people told me that. They said we couldn't ask you to do certain things because you were just so, your politeness protected you a lot from things. I have good connection usually with men. I love to hear men talking about stuff, and I usually had good relations with men. I had a very good relationship with my father, and I have a lot of respect for men. And I don't, I didn't want to provocate or really. That's really what it comes down to. I think I was pretty secure in my relationships. I didn't feel I had anything particular to prove, and I certainly didn't think I was pretty. I didn't know that aspect of me was going to be in the forefront from other people's point of view. I just, I sort of walked towards things as believing that I was going to talk to a human being, and hopefully it wouldn't be boring.
Well, it sounds like you had good self-esteem. And I think a lot of these guys are looking for low self-esteem people they can manipulate. And you probably didn't come across that way.
No, I had just lousy self-esteem, and I still have lousy self-esteem on many, many aspects.
Well, yeah, but
I have a friend, she says to me, she says, "You're the only person who doesn't know who you are."
Well, I don't mean good self-esteem like thinking you're...
You have no idea who you are, really, in terms of your fame and anything. I said, well, whatever.
Well, no, I'm not talking about thinking you're great. I'm thinking more about having a good relationship with your dad and a good relationship with your mom and having a base.
Yeah, well, I think to some degree I did. Not easy with my mother. She was tricky, but with my father I did. He was wonderful. He was a doctor. He was so good with his patients. Everybody loved talking to him, which he didn't particularly care about. He wanted his time to talk, He was a good listener. That's something so great. So I think if you meet up any men, you ask questions and you get into that tone of a meeting, you can have a very interesting time and not have all the other stuff come at you.
It's interesting. So you never married, correct?
No, I didn't want to be married.
But it's interesting that you never wanted to be married when you had that.
I never wanted to be married. I wanted to be married for a short time at one point after a very long relationship, at which point he didn't want to marry me. That was after like 14 years. But I mean, there were aspects of it. But I really, if I look at my life, I think my poor mother, I feel, God, what was in it for her? What did she? It was just toil and trouble. It was not anything comfortable, easy, and certainly was nothing to do with the kind of life people have here. I mean, she was a very intelligent, cultivated woman, and I don't think she should have married my father, who was also wonderful. But no, it wasn't, it wasn't a good marriage. So I couldn't see I still cannot see any advantage to most people my friends who were married. I always did everything for the man I was with as if I was married.
But it's interesting that your dad was a good guy and your mom was cultivated, but you don't think they should have been married. Is it because your dad sort of took over his needs?
No, he was a golf, very, very good golf player. Golf took over his life. It was all weekend and the days off, and he was an ex-rugby man, and he was a very handsome, very attractive man. And he used to play the piano a bit. He played sort of a little bit of jazz and stuff. And my mother was playing some classical piano, and she was into the arts. I don't know, and she was French too, partly French. And so there was not a lot. They used to always say the Scottish and the French have a great rapport. And I said, I'm waiting for it to start. My father was very definitely a Scot, and it was fascinating. But there weren't any really people to emulate around us. And I just remember thinking my mother's life is really not fun at all.
And but she was around and saw your success, and was she able to share in your success?
Well, she wasn't very healthy. She had a lot of problems health-wise. So she shared in a way, but she was very ironic at times. They both were. They were not thrilled. They didn't stop me, but my father said to me, you can go to Hollywood, but when you come back, you don't give me stories about Hollywood and don't tell me stuff I don't want to hear about the gossip and the things and the this. He said, if you read the newspaper and you read all sections of the newspaper, I'll be okay with this. But don't just read the page that's about the arts. So he's just on and on about that. So I had to read the paper, and I tried to read the sports paper occasionally. But he was right. I mean, I developed, more interest in more subjects. And I think that was a really good point. But he did not want to be bored by my stories about actors. He didn't think actors were rated terribly highly. And oh, they were funny. The two of them were funny.
What was his goal for you, or what do you think he would have liked you to become?
Oh, I think he just wanted me to be happy. But he didn't like people to be boring. When he would talk too much, he would say, "Stop me now, I'm getting boring. I know I'm getting boring. Please stop me." And I say, "No, you're not boring, Daddy." He said, "I know I'm getting boring." And he liked people who had character and who made him laugh to a degree. He was very solid in a way. Not in a boring way.
Right. But it sounds interesting, but I feel so you sort of feel like maybe your mom didn't get to live her goals or her dreams.
Oh, I think she was proud of me, but she didn't. She really loved the arts. She loved ballet. She loved music. She played the piano when I was young. She played the piano well. Then she got ill and she couldn't play anymore. But she was interested in that side, and she followed that. She would take me up to London. We didn't live in London. We'd go to exhibits, and we'd occasionally go to ballet performances if we could afford it, if she could afford it, which was very rare. But that she kept her path. I think she was exhausted. The garden was too big. There was a lot of manual labor, and she was. I look back at her. She was tricky, but she was a really bright person. She could really get to the center of things. She could just find the point to the question or the answer. Which
yeah,
was a little scary if you were having conflict.
And what would your definition of tricky be? Like if you said someone was a little tricky.
She wasn't usual. She was unusual.
Mm-hmm.
She loved making up stories and making secrets, and she wouldn't do what you expected. You couldn't sort of plan how she was going to behave or do. Oh yes, behave, yes, but not really how to react. And she would be sometimes quite brutal verbally, but not basically.
And for you, at this stage in your career, Lauren and Rose is the name of the movie. It's available as we speak on Amazon Prime. I will be watching it as soon as I get control over a TV set. I promise you that. For you, are you just looking toward interesting projects? Are you trying to create things?
I love psychology. And I love the process of working out who's what and who does what to whom and what's really interesting. I love that. And if you find a good part, you find that and you find the subtext and you work through it. And it gives me something. I think I would have been a good psychologist, actually. Because I'm very interested in people. There's nothing that interests me more.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big questioner. I ask a lot of questions, and people occasionally call me the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, well, that's probably meant with love, I'm sure. Well, Jacqueline, let me give you one more plug. Lauren and Rose. It's available on Amazon Prime, January 28th, or it's out as we speak. And I would recommend it. Like I said, I wish I had control over my TV set. I would have watched it by now, but I shall as soon as I regain control.
When are you planning on? What are you going to go back to your house? When do you go back?
Well, that's the age-old question. Nobody knows when the power or the sewage or the water or the gas, and no one knows when anything's going to be back on, and it's anyone's guess. And I don't seem to get any information, so I don't know.
Must be very trying, indeed.
I think it can be for a lot of people. I'm used to life as, reality on reality's terms. And I travel a lot and do a lot of shows and stuff like that anyway. So I'm sort of out and about. But
do you feel this period is over?
The period of which period? Sorry.
True. With all the the burning, the fires, the fear, and the general trauma.
Well, I'm hoping that we can rebuild, and I'm hoping we can do it in a pragmatic way. And I hope that we can do it in a way that understands this is going to happen, and it's going to happen semi-consistently, and we're just going to have to be prepared when it does.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like it is a natural disaster. And the example I would use is like in Katrina in New Orleans, they had a natural disaster, but they also had seawalls that failed, that weren't kept up by the Army Corps of Engineers. And so what I would say is this is going to happen, so let's do everything we can as a preventative measure. For instance, when the houses are all rebuilt, they're rebuilt to a certain standard with fire sprinklers and things like that, that the brush is cleared consistently, that the aqueducts are filled, that we have enough men and women in the fire department that we can pre-stage them, when we know the winds are coming. And we do as much as we humanly can to prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not totally in charge.
No, we're not in charge. No.
But we have earthquakes in this state, and we build accordingly. And even though earthquake causes destruction, it doesn't cause that much destruction because we anticipate it and we build accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, well, that's smart.
Thanks, Jacqueline Bisset.
Are you there still? You
yes.
sound like you just gone off. Have you gone off?
No, I was just signing off. But I appreciate talking to you, and maybe one day you can come see us in the studio. We're not too far away.
Really? Where are you? Where's the studio?
It's in Glendale, California.
Oh, that's not far away. Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
That's fun.
Yeah, when your next project comes along, come see us in person.
Okay, that might be fun. Thank you for potentially inviting me. Potentially.
I think it would be. Thank you, Jacqueline Bisset. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Oh, all right. We will take a little break because we're going to get a little news in. We'll get Mayhem back in here with a little news, and we'll do that right after this. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags, huh? Yeah, not red ones. What are good ones? We often hear about the red flags and what we need to avoid, but what do you want to focus on? What are you looking for? What are the green flags? That signals the start of the race, the green flag, not the checkered. Red is caution. Anyway, what are you looking for out of your friends and your partners? Well, BetterHelp can help. Look, it's something I've talked about with Dr. Drew for a long time, something I've always been interested in. Therapy. Get your head right, and the rest of life magically falls into place. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. It is BetterHelp, right, Dawson?
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and flexible. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey Adam, Aaron, 40, Austin, Tejas. I was just singing the Man Show theme in my head, and I realized I have no idea what the line is about Heather. Ba 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 Heather. So for now, I'm just gonna say hanging in the chow line with Heather until you enlighten me. Thanks, brother.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
So, hanging in a chow line was from Good Times. And it was one of the first songs I ever really broke down on the radio. And they say hanging in a John, I think is what they're trying to say, but they don't say hanging in a John. They go hanging in a chow line. It's like, okay, when Michael Jackson says, but the kid is not my son. He says, but the chair is not my son. He just says, this is a kid. There's kid. There's kid in play. It's ka. He doesn't say, but the kid. He goes, but the chair is not my son. They do this a lot.
Artistic license.
I guess so. So it's hanging in a jawing, I guess.
Hanging in and jiving is what I see.
Hanging in and jiving, but it sounds like he says hanging in a jar line. But
it sounds like chow line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hanging in a chow line, which could be a food line. Look at the cans on this chick name. It's a place where men can come together. Look at the cans on this chick named Heather. That was not. I didn't write that line. I wrote. Grab your favorite private part, maybe, or send the wife and kids to France. I remember writing the theme to the Man Show. It was Jimmy and I and Daniel were just sitting in our office, and we're like, we got to get a theme song. And we got a theme song. We just sat there. It's Bye Bye Blackbird, basically, is what it is. The song, the melody. And then we just wrote the lyrics. Which is why I don't have any respect for anyone who writes songs, really, because it's not nearly as hard as people think. Real classics, yeah, but just songs, not that hard. Dime a dozen. All right, but thanks for listening. What do you got in the news?
Well, I got some news. Kanye West's wife, Bianca Censori, will not be punished for her Grammys nudity. It's a hot story. She came out wearing, a voluminous black coat. But she dramatically dropped it right here if you haven't seen it yet. Shield your children's eyes.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Just butt naked, in a shrink wrap type outfit.
Yeah.
Nothing to the imagination. And
No,
this is what we're
but
doing
she pulls it off. I will say that.
Yes.
And listen, maybe that's the ultimate glamour, is having an incredible body.
Maybe,
like her. Yeah. It's
Perfectly
weird.
butt naked.
People, I don't know. It's just weird. Everything is weird. Everything Kanye is weird. I get it. It also seems uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's inoffensive because she's so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But uncomfortable. But either way.
What do you mean? What's uncomfortable about it?
I don't know. It's cold. You're not really wearing
she
anything.
Has a sheen of fabric upon her.
All right. I don't know. Does anything shock anyone anymore? Does anything matter anymore?
No.
Does anyone care anymore? I don't know what his next move is, but I just think the part where you I don't know why, but when you do a horror movie and you give the name of the horror movie and you take one of the letters and you make it backwards, that's not scary. It's just fucked out. It's just fucked out. Why are you doing that? What is that? What is inherently scary about the S going the wrong direction in your scary movie? It's just dumb. It's just
would you like
done.
to be shocked?
Yeah, the shocked is back.
No.
The S on the shock. No, there's a horror movie called Shocked, and you take the S and you make it face the wrong direction, like you were drunk when you were laying it out.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's
even
scary.
The movie Seven, when they took the V and they made it a 7 or something, it doesn't really even make sense. I don't. It's not inherently scary, and being naked where you're not supposed to be naked goes back.
No, I thought you'd
It's
just
old.
be shocked that Bianca Censori is an Australian architectural designer.
Oh,
So, yeah.
yeah,
A little
I
more
don't
in common with
get
you.
Those two, but all right. Also, I always feel bad for their dads, have to kind of go, Jesus Christ, really? Could you
What?
put fucking something on?
Yeah,
he's got to sit home and get the newspaper, turn on the phone or whatever, and there's his daughter walking around.
Bianca's a butt naked again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, in other news, Joe Biden is ready to make some Hollywood deals and signs with CAA. Yeah, former President Joe Biden is officially stepping into the post-presidency spotlight.
Do we have to do this? Do we have to do it with everyone who leaves?
Well, Obama and, Michelle Obama.
What do they know about? What do the Obamas know about making documentaries?
They've done it a few
They don't know
times.
anything.
Yeah, they've done
This
it a
is
few
such
times.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
By the way, Biden's 82. He's swindled enough money. Is he turning 82? Is he 81 or 82? He's swindled enough money with him and his son from Ukraine and Russia that he should be able to just go back to Delaware and ride it out. Does he really? And does anyone think he's 82? Does anyone think he has any hand in any of the creative process when they sign him to this deal? By the way, he thinks he just got signed. He doesn't think he got signed by CAA. He's telling Jill Biden, I just got signed by CA. That's what he thinks. He doesn't know anything.
RP.
He doesn't know where he is. He's going to have a creative license or final cut over anything. He doesn't even know where it's going on. Ugh.
Yeah, while President Biden earned $400,000 annually, but his financial life outside office has been far more lucrative.
Yeah, they're going to get book deals like the Obamas.
I don't have it here, but I read in the article there was a breakdown of different like universities that he went to, and pulled in $180,000 for speaking engagements. From after he was a vice president.
What happened to his son's art for $500,000? What happened to that? Who bought that? Who bought his son's art? How come they wouldn't say who bought his son's art? How come no one says where all his money comes from? He's a fucking grifter.
Yeah, I think that once you get into the top levels of power, it's really hard not to grift.
Yeah, I know. And listen, here's the thing. Let me just say this. The Obamas are very wealthy and have multiple homes that are worth millions of dollars. And Biden is wealthy. And Trump is wealthy. And Elon Musk is wealthy. And Vivek Ramaswamy are wealthy. All right. They're all wealthy. One group gives us lectures on wealth and humanity and wants to know when is enough, when do you have enough, how much money do you have, what about the other people that don't have money because you have stolen all the money and income inequality. One group wags their finger at you and lectures you about your humanity, and the other group is just fucking rich. Now, they're both rich. One is constantly trying to lecture you on why you shouldn't want to be rich or who has all the money or who doesn't. Meanwhile, they're all at the same party. Yeah. And they're all fucking hanging around with Oprah, who's rich, who's also going to lecture you on when is enough. So that's the only difference. They all got big-time book deals. They all get fucking set up from Netflix. They all do the same thing, run in the same circles, have multiple homes, and fly privately. But the one side lectures you, and the other side is content just to be rich. And if you'd like to get rich as well, that'll be your business. And that's why I don't want the lecture.
Wagging your finger at me from Pelosi's fondue fountain.
Yes, I will take. You can have your money, you can have your investments, you can have your rich husbands, you can have your Porsches and your private jets. Just don't fucking lecture me like you're not rich, bitch. Whenever the Obamas are like, when's it going to be enough? I don't know. You're going on your fourth home that's multi-million dollars. Is that not enough? Or is that enough? Or do you like the house and you want it?
Yeah.
And you need to shut the fuck up.
I think they might be talking up, though, like at the billionaires.
They're always talking about someone who is richer than them.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. The difference is having a net worth of $100 million versus a net worth of owing the bank $30,000, and a network of having $100 billion. When you have the $100 million, you live whatever life you want to lead. Yeah. That's what the Obamas do. Yeah. Whatever the party is, whatever, it's not like they're sitting around and they're going, I'd like a Coca-Cola, but we can only afford Shasta.
Yeah.
Those aren't the decisions that are being made by the Obamas. They're doing whatever, whenever, and then they're telling us about the have-nots, the people that don't have the money.
Yeah.
And my thing is you got the money, now shut up and don't lecture me. And by the way, seems like you're all about the money, too. You're not making as much as Elon, but you'll fucking do anything to make money.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right.
All right. In some lighter news, a man sitting in a restaurant gets hit in the head by debris from the Philadelphia plane crash. Yeah. I mean, look,
Was he
I say
killed?
lighter because this video
he
is
killed?
comical and he is not killed.
Oh,
he made
okay.
a full recovery, or he is in the process. But he
Okay.
got, if you want to see someone get their bell rung, check your eyes up to the top of the screen. Oh, run it back because if you blink, you miss it. Oh,
Wow, it came flying in.
but from a plane explosion, everybody jumps to the ground. This guy took a direct hit right to the dome, but it seems like
Knocked his hat off.
Yeah, bust his hat right off in a comical fashion.
Whoa.
Yeah, but this guy is lucky to be alive today.
Yeah.
The Learjet was headed to Missouri for a fuel stop before continuing to Mexico. It was the a wreckage. Man,
Yeah, it was a private jet
really bummer.
from Mexico.
Yeah. It was a medical flight taking a girl who was getting
It-
life-saving treatment here
It
in the
just
States.
blew up in the air, right?
It did, yeah.
No, I don't think it was taking her to get
No,
treatment. I think it was
coming
taking her
back.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad. And
Really
it just
sad.
blew up. I heard that there was oxygen on the plane, and that because it was a medical plane,
Yeah.
and that could have been it. There's a flight many, many years ago with a professional football player on it that crashed in Florida because it had oxygen like stowed below, and it went off. Like I guess oxygen tanks in airplanes don't mix, and I think that's the theory of why it just blew up in midair, right?
Yes, that's what it says. And many people hospitalized. 3 people in critical condition. Everyone on the plane, died. 22 injured after. 7
Yeah, it
people
landed
died.
right in the middle of Philly, right?
Yeah, it landed right there, and we get this. It looks like that guy's going to be okay, but other people not so much. Yep.
I heard, speaking of Philly, I was told during the break that the NFL's going to suspend the end racism agitation bullshit that they put in every end zone, but I don't know the full story to that. But it can't end fast enough. And I don't know if that's a kind of Trump-related thing or what they're doing, but we will one day, you guys will understand how quietly dangerous all this sort of anti-racist shit that you put everywhere and how destructive it is and the damage it has caused our society and race relations, because it appears as if racism is a much bigger problem than it is because you are actually putting it in the end zone.
Highlighting it.
You want to know the utopia I would like to live in?
Yeah.
Racism is not a real problem. It's not a dangerous problem. It's not a situation that needs to be discussed in end zones of football games. But you want to know a utopia we'd be living in? Imagine if in every professional football game, instead of end racism, they just went, use your blinker, use your turn signal. That would be something. That would be positive. That would be something we could do. Now, I don't know what this story is, and I don't know. We're looking at a picture of the Kansas City Chiefs, and it says end racism in the end zone. So this picture is not helping me with my dialogue because I'm saying they didn't do it, but I don't know if that's the Super Bowl or not. So, yeah. Anyway, but Byron, it's not helping me because I understand it says end racism. I'm saying for the Super Bowl, did they end the end racism or not? But we're gonna find that out. You can do your next story.
Yeah, the next story is a trans Oscar nominee Carla Sofia Gascon breaks down, says she's being sacrificed over past tweets.
Oh, really?
Yes, the first openly transgender Oscar nominee is speaking out in emotional response backlash over past tweets that have resurfaced. Gascon nominated for her role in Radical.
These are dude tweets back then, right? This
I
is
think
hers
so.
a dude?
I think so,
Because
yeah.
dudes tweet different.
Oh, they took them out of here, but if we can put some of those up.
Is this movie seems like a retarded woke musical
so.
that is getting a bunch of woke points, and that's why it's
Yes.
getting all the buzz. And it's the reason no one gives a fuck about the Oscars anymore, because they just go, they're just giving it to the wokest shit. No one cares, and I've never heard of any of these movies. I'm not going to see it. And by the way, Dawson, you're going to have to look. What is the differential between the critics score and the audience, the popcorn score? Because this sounds like one of those that's going to be 95 with the critics and 47 with the people.
See, you're going 47?
No,
I'll go 64.
I'll go 93. I'll go 93 critics and what'd you say?
I said 64.
I'll say 59.
And I'm going 93.
And
critics.
so whenever you see a movie that's real high with the critics and low with the people, think wokester.
Yeah.
But I
The average works out sort of. Oh my God.
73 with the critics, which is low for
critics, for
Oscars and woke and trans and Hispanic and everything. 18% with the people with over 5,000 reviews. Now they're going to say those are haters, but I'm sorry, you never see a Best Picture nominee with anything under 50.
Right? Yeah.
18%. We're getting into like Medea's Halloween special, like percentage with 18. Holy shit.
Yeah, and those old man tweets of hers were disparaging to George Floyd, called him a junkie, I think, or something like this, and really just, I don't know, the backlash is pretty amazing to go in such a woke environment to be reinvestigated.
Well, what was her? But those were dude tweets, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah, I feel like you can't. You got to give some.
If you're gonna become a male or female, we got to throw your old tweets out. But that's how she thought when she was a dude. But what were the tweets? Do you have them?
Yeah, they took them out of here. I know there's one.
They took them down, you mean?
No, my article got adjusted where I had it on here, but the final print doesn't have. We'll fix that in the future.
All right.
But yeah, she's saying she can't step down from an Oscar nomination because I have not committed any crime, nor have I harmed anyone.
So she was like talking up George Floyd, or saying you idiots who defended George Floyd.
She actually took positions on both sides of the argument, like saying that George Floyd was kind of
Well, do we have those somewhere?
Yeah.
And then
Myron,
so
bring
why
them
not have them? If we're going to talk about them, we should at least have them. This is my take.
Yeah.
And we'll also figure out what's going on with the Super Bowl and end racism.
Regarding the Super Bowl, the NFL will remove the words "end racism" from the end zones at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. They're going to replace them with stencils of "Choose Love."
Choose.
While they're beating each other up on the field. Choose love.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's some, the tweets that in question. Truly believe that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict and a hustler, but his death has served to highlight once again that there are those who consider black people to be monkeys without rights and those who consider police to be murderers. All wrong.
So all of us
nuanced,
wrong. Blacks
nuanced.
aren't monkeys and cops aren't murderers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Nobody cared about George Floyd. And yes, he was a drug addict and a hustler. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we're building monuments to him. But yes, that is all true.
But yeah, I think that whole movement was about not so much that guy, George Floyd, but the fact that guys get away, the cops would get away.
Yeah, that was about, I know, but you still are building statues to a junkie criminal, which is not a good plan. But the cops not getting away with it that's correct. That part. But then, see, here's the problem with all you guys. You can point out that there's police brutality without turning the victim into a hero because they're not a hero just because they were killed by a cop.
The argument is he's a martyr for the cause.
Yeah, but martyrs did something usually like the guy that almost got his head taken off with the with the aircraft that fell out of the sky wouldn't be a martyr for aviation safety. He'd just be a dude who was eating at a diner, got hit by a piece of shrapnel. We wouldn't look to him for aviation safety, and we shouldn't build a statue of him and put him at the fucking airport. That was the guy who just got fragged by shrapnel. So you're not a martyr for the cause because a cop killed you. But I get it. I get what they're doing, but also they don't care about him either. They're just trying to score some intersectional points. All right, so we're going to choose love, which means nothing. This extra nothing talk, I don't know what it means. This is the era we're in. It's insane. Who's choosing love? And also, what does that even mean? Just fucking take care of your family, would you?
Whose plan is it to signal these virtues? You know,
okay, let me explain what the NFL is. NFL is a corporation.
Yeah.
Corporations need you to think that they're very human when they're not.
Yeah.
They're not human. As I've said, in the NFL, you choose love, and a Subaru is made with love.
Yeah.
But it's really just made with a bunch of natural resources and like vulcanized rubber and metal and shit we tear from the ground.
Yeah.
So we dig huge holes in the ground and then we tear stuff out of the ground and we rape the land and then we use those raw materials to make a Subaru, which
Mother
is then,
Earth's love.
Yeah, which then burns fossil fuels, pushes exhaust out the back,
More
and
love.
then eventually ends up in some landfill or pile somewhere and leaches into the ground table water for the next 1,000 years. So that's what a Subaru does. But you have to convince us it's made with love, so we think of you as nice.
Yeah.
And then we want to buy a Subaru. In the NFL, you guys are just a huge corporation who tries to pay your ex-employees who are crippled oftentimes now the least amount possible and fight them and CTE things and not pay their retirement or their medical bills or whatever. That's what you guys are.
Yeah.
But you don't want us to look at you as that. You want us to look at you as someone who's alive. Like the NFL, and so we want you to choose love. Except for that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with us. And no, they don't care what you choose. They want you to like them.
Yeah.
And that's the new world order we're in. The greatest commercial of all time, and we can't find it anymore, but they started this shit, we're going back 25 years. There was a commercial, and maybe Dawson can find it, but I don't think it exists anymore because I think we looked for it once, and they scrubbed it. It was a Nike commercial, and it was Nike showing a bunch of women athletes, and they were sweating in the weight room and taking shots out on the court and getting knocked down and pick back up and get hard checked in hockey and stuff. And they're like, we sweat like the men, we bleed like the men, we work like the men. Why don't we get paid like the men? And that was Nike, who uses Chinese child labor to manufacture their products in sweatshops. That's them saying to you, look who we are. We care about the ladies. Now, Nike sponsors women in the NBA, and Nike sponsors men in the WNBA, and they sponsor men in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Nike pays LeBron James or whomever millions and millions of dollars a year. I don't know how much they paid Lisa Leslie or the females. Mm-hmm. The answer is not much. Mm. So Nike, why don't you fucking pay the bitches? It's you could give them a tennis shoe contract the same as you gave Michael Jordan a tennis shoe contract. So why aren't you doing this? So shut the fuck up and pay the bitches, Nike. But instead, you use the money that could go toward paying the bitches. You used it to create a commercial to make us think you were something other than what you are, which is a big corporation that sells shit.
Manufacturing consent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Sorry, I'm dubious, NFL. I'm not going to choose love. Just how about no statements
Well, but
in the end zone?
they ended racism, though.
Well, now that racism is gone, now we can choose love. And by the way, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't cure anybody of anything. All right, one more.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. Good. That commercial we have looked at for in the past, Dawson, and they don't have it anymore. It was a sanctimonious Nike bullshit, pay the women what you pay the men commercial, except for Nike does all the paying and doesn't pay the women, so shut up.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything, but I do want to say that the NFL is saying that choose love is appropriate to use as our country has endured in recent weeks wildfires in Southern California, terrorist attack here in New Orleans, the plane and helicopter crash in near our nation's capital, and the plane crash in Philadelphia. So we all need to choose love. I would argue, please donate to the Red Cross.
Yeah.
Might directly affect those things.
I would say the terrorists needed to choose love. The rest of the stuff is kind of act of God stuff, or at least a mistake, not involving. So the terrorists, yes, he should have chosen love. All right. Torrance at the end doing stand-up there, man. That place is fun. February 15th. That place is a party, 6 and 8 p.m. It's a fun show. Also, San Luis Obispo, Monterey, Napa, heading up to my part of my neck of the woods where the racetracks are. That'll be fun. Toward the end of February. You can go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows, and you can also check out Jacqueline Bisset. Lauren and Rose is the name of the movie. And then there's Margaret Cho. I believe you go to margaretcho.com, find out all the live dates. Until next time, Adam, for Mayhem and Jacqueline and Margaret saying mahalo.